Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, today I'm bringing you another video, and that is what should HTC do in 2014? Now, I have done one of these on each manufacturer, so make sure to check out the rest. But what should HTC do in 2014? Well, HTC has had a very hard year. And unfortunately, I had predicted that 2014 might be the year that they start to go out of business. Well, early 2013 last year. And the reason why I thought that was because they had just lost it. They had lost their momentum. At this point, they had over a year of earnings that were a loss. So they're not in the best shape. And that isn't something I take pride in or anything like that, predicting that, because of the fact that HTC brought us Android. I mean, it's one of the founding fathers of Android. So it really is just an amazing company, but they've really just have kind of lost direction, and they don't have a leader to really make that a good direction at this point, I would say. So what should they do to boost what they have and what they will do, and really put them back in the game? Number one, marketing. You have Robert Downey Jr. for 2 years, and the best thing you could come up with was that horrible commercial. Now, when the first announcement hit of RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., being in your commercials, everyone in the industry was like, "Oh man, HTC is going to get serious. They're gonna come at Samsung. They're gonna come at Apple. They're gonna come at all these companies, and they're gonna do something big." And then we saw that. You came up with three-letter words for what HTC stood for. And most people just made fun of you saying, "Help this company." Because that was the best thing, or "Hate these commercials." That was the best slogan that HTC really stood for, because it was just such a bad commercial. And you're just not utilizing them. So definitely change that. I mean, have Robert Downey Jr. in front of a podium saying just specs of the HTC One, 2, or whatever it's going to be called. You know, just have doing that, and just in his charismatic way, and that's a better commercial than what you had. I mean, it's not that hard, I would say, and that's just what's amazing me, all these advertising companies that still are in business. But yeah, so that's one thing that I would just say. Marketing is your biggest flaw, and as a marketing graduate, that annoys me when you can't just have a good commercial with such good clientele. Now, as for your new flagship device, whether it be called the HTC One Squared, the HTC One 2, or simply the HTC 2, whatever you're going to call it, let's get a few things down. First thing, either drop the ultra pixel or make it an 8 ultra pixel camera. But that 4 ultra pixel was really, I mean, it was the most lackluster thing I had seen on the HTC One. Now, I've had plenty of people argue with me about it. I had a side-by-side comparison for plenty of people to see on that versus the iPhone and the S4 and all that stuff. So take a look at yourself. But the HTC One Ultra Pixel was very poor quality, because it just lacked detail. A lot of the shots were either noisy. I called the J.J. Abrams camera, because it had lens flares all the time when you had a light on there, and it really it was the biggest disappointment to me. And that's because two of the things that I need on my personal phone is long battery life and camera quality, two which were the best in the HTC One. So if they're going to do the ultra pixel, that's fine. You're letting more light through. I mean, that's obviously great for low light photos, and it did take good low light photos. But the main thing it needs to do is be more megapixels, ultra pixels, whatever you want to call them. Megapixels is a bigger sensor. That's all it is. But so that's all you need to do, is at least make it 8 ultra pixels, and that's good. But if you keep the 4 ultra pixel on there, that's the end. That is the end of the company. I'm sorry. You can say what you want if you're a big HTC fan. Plain and simple, that's the end of the company. And that was their biggest uphill battle this past year, was that they had to convince people that megapixels didn't mean anything, which is true to a certain degree. But you know what? Megapixels do matter if you're cropping the image, plain and simple. And I used to be a photographer, SLRs, all that kind of stuff. They do matter if you're cropping the image, and especially because we're now not seeing on crappy screens. We're seeing them on 1080p screens on our phone, and we're seeing we're seeing these on much higher quality screens than we did when we did photography back in the day. So megapixels do matter to a certain extent. Um, Speakers. So speakers were the best thing about the HTC One, my favorite thing about the device by far. However, they take up a lot of space on the front. It's one of the reasons why, like, I thought the HTC One Mini was, like, not really a mini, because of the fact that it really was very big. And that's because the speakers take up so much space, and so was the HTC One. And if you even see, like, the HTC One Max compared to the Note 3, it really looks closer to the Mega for the fact of the speakers are so big. So if they can do it without taking too much of the quality away, have one row of holes and make the speakers condense to that instead of the 3 rows. I think it's 3 rows of holes that they currently have right now, because the speakers just take up so much space, and it's just a really bad feature of it. Better battery life definitely was one of my biggest pet peeves on the HTC One. I had to put it on power saving mode to get through a full work day. Now I am a power user, but I mean that I was able to do what I mean. I had better battery life in my experience with the S3 than I did with the HTC One. Now that's saying something. Now, obviously, I mean I tweaked the S3 more, so that's probably why. To be in all fairness, but it was one thing that I just didn't like on the HTC One was the battery life. Now I had it for the first month it came out, so any updates after that to fix the battery life, all possible, definitely. But that was my big thing with the HTC One, is that the battery life wasn't as good. And we know other companies can do it. I mean, LG has an amazing battery life on their phone. S4, decent battery life. Note, amazing battery life. So there's other ones that just have a better battery life, especially if it's not removable. And last thing, use some kind of easy mode, HTC. Sense is very great for the techie users, and it's second nature to us. But for a brand new user to Android, Sense is not good. And you need to have some kind of easy mode like Samsung has, like Pantech has, something that makes it easy, because you're not gonna, especially because with the metal version of the phone, it really appeals to people from Apple's side. But Apple users are fairly simplistic. They just want easy to use, which your phone it takes getting used to, especially if coming from Apple. So to do that, I really think you need to have more of an easy interface to appeal to that. I mean, you should know what customers you're getting. You're getting Apple customers because it's the look and feel of your device. So appeal to them, plain and simple. Other phones. So let's just go with the Max. So HTC One Max, the reason why it was just an utter disappointment was because you lost things that the HTC One had. So things like stabilization on the camera was one thing. Second thing that was really annoying was your fingerprint reader is right next to the camera, which you're rubbing against your finger against the camera lens all the time, which means you have to clean the lens almost every other time. If you're gonna have a fingerprint reader, put it somewhere else. If you're not putting it on the front for some legal issue, although you pay Apple for every phone you sell, so I'm not sure why you can't put it on the front, but if you put it in the middle or somewhere else, but don't put it right next to the camera lens, or put the camera lens in the right or left corner then, but don't put it there, because we're swiping the camera lens and that's annoying, and it just makes it not really usable. But I digress. The main thing that I was going to say about the HTC One Max is a big phone does not make a good phone. This is why, the G Pro failed. It's why the HTC One Max failed. It's why the Lumia 1520 failed. A big phone does not make a good phone. It's why the only one that's really been successful and that just owns that market is the Note 3. And the reason why is one of the main things is split screen. You have to take advantage of that bigger screen on the phone. So find a way to take advantage of it, HTC, or don't make a big phone. Plain and simple. And second, honestly, I understand you're trying to diversify, but I wouldn't do a Windows Phone anymore. As you as a company, because you're struggling on it, it just doesn't make sense for you to do Windows, really. And the reason why I say it doesn't make sense is because Nokia is better than you at Windows phones. They just are. So why are you trying to put your resources? I understand not trying to put all your eggs in one basket, but at the same time, Nokia's better. I mean, any HTC Windows phone that's come out is not as good as the Nokia competition. So I just see as focus on Android, maybe make two tiers of phones. Maybe you can make the one squared, the one two, and make two different tiers. The polycarbonate ones weren't bad. I mean, bring back something like the HTC One X Plus in a modern version maybe as a $99 phone, and have the one be the $200 phone. Diversify, but I say stick to Android. It's what you do best, and it's what you should be doing best. And finally, tablets. HTC, if you are going to come back to the tablet game, some advice I give to the LG as well. Make something different. The HTC Flyer, look, I got that for my girlfriend, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever it came out, and it was a half-baked idea. It really was. I was so done with it when it broke, and I got a new one for her. We immediately went. I immediately moved over to Samsung, and then this past year, she got a Nexus 7. So it really is something that it was such a bad experience for me, because as soon as it updated, it was just so many issues, and it was just really, it wasn't well supported. Now you have gotten better at that, but tablets, do something different. I could definitely see HTC really doing something with a keyboard dock, or maybe not necessarily a stylus, but something else. Having front speakers now that you have that niche, do that in your tablet, and bring Sense to it, but bring something else to the tablet. You just can't put your Sense interface on your one and put it on a tablet. You have to change it up a little, make it more useful for a tablet. Again, I don't know if you can do split screen because the whole patents thing or whatever, and who owns what, but at least I would try to do something different when it comes to tablets, either by a keyboard dock or something other like that. Alright, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. What do you think HTC should do in 2014? Please leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.